I think I have some controversial views, and it's pretty long-winded, so I don't know if I want to dive deeply into that.
Go.
Okay. All right, so I am an AI maximalist. So I think one thing to think about is that I don't think that the current way that we think about product management is going to exist however much time from now. Maybe 12 months from now, maybe a couple of years from now, but I think it's going to change. And it'll change because when you think about what AI fundamentally is doing is it's going to subsume a lot of work from different roles. And so just to kind of make this a little bit more practical, you know, I would talk to a PM at my company, and that PM would be like, ha ha ha, look at the artists. All their work is going to get taken away by AI. And then, you know, I think Dario, the CEO of Anthropic, would post something, and then they're like, haha, look at the engineers. All their work is going to be taken over by AI. And then I talk to the engineers, and like, ha ha ha, guess what? All the product managers' work is going to be taken over by AI. And if you think about it, there are going to be a set of capabilities and tasks that are subsumed by AI, both on the low end and the high end, meaning like boring, repetitive work, obviously, will be taken over by AI. And there are going to be some types of tasks and work that are just too complex for human beings to figure out that are going to be taken over by AI. And so when you think about traditional roles, whether you're a product manager, or engineer, or artist, there's going to be a lot of tasks and capabilities that are taken over by AI. So what does that leave for humans? Well, if you go to the extreme in terms of AI and believe in superintelligence, and I absolutely hope we never get there, then in that world, you know, human beings just no longer have a need to exist, and superintelligence will do everything. But if we go to in that transition, and as AI gets better and better, what I think will actually happen is that roles will compress, teams will compress. And so what does that mean? That means that the work that a typical product manager will do, I think, is not going to make sense. And there's going to be something, a concept that I call organizational meta. Meaning, if you think about, like some people talk about AI in the context of like you have currently a fixed organizational structure that doesn't change. And at the other extreme end, you have a completely dynamic structure for a team and a company that completely changes. I don't believe in either view. I think that just like in League of Legends, when they changed the meta and champions' abilities, there's going to be limitations, capabilities, weights, meaning strengths and weaknesses, and various things that create an organizational meta. And so what I think is going to happen is that in this organizational meta for a specific kind of product, that what will happen is that there is going to be a maximally effective type of organization that makes the most sense. And so you may not have an engineer anymore or a product manager anymore. You might have a product engineer or a product marketer, or some of these roles are going to combine, and there's going to be a new kind of organizational structure that is maximally effective. In these organizations that can't change because you're in a big company like, I don't want to name the companies. Some of these companies are still mad at me for things I've said in the past, but yeah, they're like still angry. It's like, dude, I said that 2 years ago. Anyway, but like, so if you're part of these large, big companies where you've got fixed roles and you're highly vertically oriented, you're going to be in a lot of trouble. Your organization, I don't think, is going to be competitive in the future. So from the perspective of a product manager, I think that the product manager role, to some degree, is going to, in some situations, completely not be necessary. Like especially if you do like web type of products and things like that. And also, but in gaming, maximally important. Because why? Because there needs to be somebody who orchestrates the organization. There needs to be somebody who looks at intelligence, and you talked about different kinds of returns. But there's also something that Dario, the CEO of Anthropic, calls a return to intelligence. And so when you think about this person who helps orchestrate the kind of organization that's necessary to be maximally competitive, and also is looking at where do we get the best returns to intelligence and applies that to different parts of the company, those are the kinds of organizations that are just going to whoop ass on every other big organization that just fundamentally cannot change. I'll just stop there, sorry.